The night has already settled over the ancient land, thick and quiet, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Cold air drifts slowly across wide plains and into the mouth of a stone shelter, where a small fire glows, steady and patient. Its light flickers against rough cave walls, painting moving shadows that rise and fall like slow breaths. Outside, the wind moves through dry grass and distant trees, carrying the low call of animals far away in the darkness. Above, unseen from within the cave, ancient stars stretch endlessly across the sky, bright and watchful. This is a world without clocks or words for hours, where time is measured by hunger, by warmth, by the slow return of the sun. The people here know the night well. They know its dangers, its silence, and its deep, sheltering calm. Tonight, as the fire crackles softly, there is a sense of routine, of survival practiced so many times that it has become gentle. As you listen, imagine sitting close to this fire, safe within stone walls shaped by time and weather. If you feel at ease here, you might quietly tap a like or subscribe to return again to this place of warmth and quiet. And if you wish, leave a soft trace of yourself by sharing where you are listening from, the US, Europe, or somewhere else beneath the same sky, and what time the night has found you. Let it feel like leaving a small mark beside the fire. Nothing more. Now allow your shoulders to loosen. Let the lights around you dim. Breathe slowly, as the people here do, steady and unhurried. Imagine the warmth of the fire spreading through your hands and legs, easing the chill brought in from the dark. You are safe. The stone walls are strong. The night may be cold, but it cannot reach you here. Long before soft beds or woven blankets, this is how sleep begins, by listening to fire, by trusting shelter, by resting after a long day of careful living. And so the story returns fully to them, to the quiet lives shaped by freezing nights and patient endurance. As the fire settles into a deeper glow, the small group inside the cave moves slowly, conserving warmth and energy. Each motion is deliberate. A thick hide is pulled closer to the fire, its rough surface smelling faintly of smoke and earth. Stone tools rest nearby, laid carefully against the wall, their sharp edges dulled by use and time. These tools are not just objects. They are protection, memory, and effort shaped by patient hands. Outside, frost begins to form along the ground, turning soft soil hard beneath the cold. The people inside know this soundless change without seeing it. They have learned to read the night by the way the air bites at exposed skin and how quickly breath turns pale. One by one, they edge closer to the fire, not touching, just near enough to share its steady warmth. Before sleep, there is always watching. One pair of eyes remains half open, following the slow dance of embers, listening for shifts in the wind or the faint snap of a twig beyond the cave. The others settle lower, curling inward, conserving heat like animals who know winter well. There is no fear in this, only awareness, calm and practiced. The fire crackles softly, shrinking but not fading. Its warmth seeps into stone and bone alike. Breathing slows. Muscles loosen after a day of walking, waiting, and preparing for tomorrow's hunt. The cold night presses in from outside, but it stops at the edge of the light. As the flames sink lower, shadows grow longer and gentler, and sleep begins to arrive, quiet and unforced, carried in on the rhythm of the fire and the steady breathing of those who have survived another freezing night. The fire is fed once more with a careful hand, a single dry branch placed just right, so it will burn slowly through the deepest part of the night. Sparks lift briefly, then fade, leaving behind a calmer glow. The cave feels smaller now, not in a confining way, but in a protective one. Stone walls holding warmth like cupped hands. Beyond the shelter, the world is frozen and still. The ground is stiff beneath a thin layer of ice, and the river nearby moves more slowly, its surface whispering softly as water slips beneath forming skin of frost. The people here know this sound well. It tells them the night is strong, but not stronger than their preparation. Inside, a figure shifts, turning onto their side, knees drawn up close to the chest. This position is learned early in life, how to keep warmth close, how to let the body become smaller against the cold. A child rests between two adults wrapped in overlapping hides, breathing deep and even. The rise and fall of that small chest brings a quiet sense of continuity, a reminder of why the fire must never fully die. Stone walls hold the day's warmth longer than the open land. Fingers brush against the rock, feeling its lingering heat, its rough certainty. There is comfort in knowing this place has stood through many winters, through storms and long nights, just like this one. The watcher's eyes finally close. Trust settles in. The fire has been built well. The entrance has been blocked with brush and bone. The wind cannot reach them here. Outside, the stars continue their slow turning, unseen but steady, while inside the cave, breath, warmth, and time move together at the same quiet pace. As embers glow low and the cave fills with the deep stillness of shared sleep, the night holds them gently, and rest deepens without effort. Long before the first hint of morning, the cave rests in a deep, heavy quiet. The fire has settled into a bed of glowing embers, red and steady, giving off just enough warmth to keep the cold at a distance. Smoke drifts upward and slips out through small cracks in the stone, leaving the air inside calm and familiar. A slow breath escapes into the darkness, then another. Each breath is measured, shaped by years of sleeping this way, learning how to share warmth without crowding, how to stay still so the fire can do its work. Outside, a distant animal calls once, low and far away, then silence returns, thick and unbroken. The hides rise and fall gently as bodies adjust in sleep. A hand curls closer to the warmth, fingers brushing ash-warmed stone. The cold presses harder now, creeping across the land, freezing water and stiffening plants, but it cannot pass the circle of light and heat inside the cave. In dreams, there are familiar paths across open plains, the slow walk of herds, the quiet patience of waiting. These dreams carry no urgency. They move like the night itself, slow, wide, and steady. The body rests while the mind wanders through known places. At the edge of sleep, someone stirs, adding a small piece of bone to the embers. It catches softly, releasing a gentle glow. This small act is done without waking fully, guided by memory and instinct rather than thought. The fire answers with a faint crackle, then grows quiet again. Darkness softens, breathing deepens. The ancient night stretches on, vast and cold, while inside the cave, warmth lingers and sleep settles fully, unbroken and calm. The long night continues, measured not by time, but by warmth and stillness. The fire no longer flickers high, instead it glows low and steady, its embers pressed together like quiet hearts. Their light barely reaches the far edges of the cave, leaving the stone there in soft shadow. A thin thread of cold air slips in near the cave entrance, brushing against the floor. In response, bodies instinctively draw closer together, a silent agreement shaped by countless winters. No words are needed. The warmth grows stronger where they gather, layered hides trapping heat and holding it close. Somewhere beyond the cave, ice forms along the edges of the forest. Branches creak softly as they settle under the weight of frost. These sounds are distant and harmless here, softened by stone and earth. Inside, the air smells of smoke, hide, and cold rock, familiar, grounding, safe. One sleeper dreams of a past hunt, of slow footsteps through tall grass, and the careful reading of tracks pressed into soft soil. There is no chase in this dream, only patience and steady movement beneath a wide sky. The memory drifts gently, then fades back into sleep. A small ember breaks apart, releasing a brief glow before settling again. The watcher does not return. There is no need now. The night has reached its deepest point, and everything rests within it. The cave feels warm enough. Breath moves slowly. Muscles soften further, sinking into the earth. The world outside remains frozen and still, while inside, the quiet rhythm of survival continues, wrapped in darkness and warmth, carrying sleep onward. The deepest part of the night passes without sound, like a wide, dark river flowing gently around the cave. The embers have thinned now, their glow softer, spread out like distant stars fallen to the ground. Heat still rises from them, slow and dependable, enough to keep the cold from settling into bones. A faint breeze moves through the narrow opening, carrying with it the clean scent of ice and earth. It stirs a strand of hair, cool against the skin, then fades as brush and stone break its path. The shelter holds, it always has. That knowledge rests quietly in the body, allowing sleep to remain deep and unbroken. Someone turns in their rest, pressing a shoulder closer to the ground where warmth has gathered through the night. The earth beneath the hides is firm, but not unkind. It remembers the fire, the weight of bodies, the long hours of stillness. In this way, even the ground becomes part of survival. Outside, the sky begins its slow change, though no one inside can see it yet. Stars drift slightly westward, and the cold sharpens just before dawn, as it always does. The people here have felt this moment many times. Their bodies remain curled, holding warmth close, waiting without knowing they wait. The fire gives one last quiet crack, a gentle sound that blends with steady breathing. Darkness remains, but it feels lighter somehow, less heavy than before. Sleep continues, calm and secure, as the freezing night loosens its grip and drifts slowly toward morning. Before light touches the sky, the cave begins to wake in the smallest ways. Not with movement, but with awareness. The air shifts, becoming slightly less sharp, though the cold still holds tight outside. Embers glow faintly, their warmth lingering like a memory of fire rather than fire itself. A slow breath deepens, then steadies again. Fingers flex inside thick hides, feeling for heat, for familiar textures of bone and fur. No one rises yet. Morning is never rushed. It arrives when the world allows it. From far away, a bird calls once, uncertain, testing the frozen air. The sound is thin and brief, but its signals change. Even in sleep, the people sense it. Their bodies have learned the language of dawn through many winters and many nights spent like this. One figure opens their eyes just slightly, enough to read the shape of the cave in shadow. They listen, to breathing, to silence, to the faint whisper of wind outside. The fire will need tending soon, but not yet. There is still warmth to share, still rest to take before the day begins. Outside, frost glimmers on stone and grass beneath the unseen sky. Inside, the cave holds its calm. Hides shift softly as bodies settle into one last stretch of rest. Sleep lingers, gentle and heavy, as if reluctant to leave. The embers pulse once more, then grow quiet. The cave remains still, wrapped in the final moments of night, balanced perfectly between darkness and the promise of day. The first hint of morning arrives without color, only a thinning of darkness at the cave's mouth. It is subtle, almost imagined, but those inside feel it all the same. The cold outside sharpens briefly, as it often does before the sun rises, pressing against stone and earth. A hand reaches toward the fire pit, fingers brushing ash that is still warm beneath the surface. With slow care, a small bundle of dry grass is placed among the embers. A breath, gentle and practiced, follows. The fire answers quietly, a faint glow returning, then a soft flame rising just enough to greet the coming day. Light begins to creep along the cave floor, pale and weak, revealing the shapes of resting bodies and the curve of stone walls. Faces remain calm, eyes still closed, wrapped in the final layers of sleep. Morning is welcomed slowly here, never with sudden movement. Outside, frost covers the land in silver. The plains stretch silent and open, waiting. Tracks from the day before lie frozen in place. Hoof marks, paw prints, and the careful steps of people moving with purpose. These marks will guide the day's choices once the sun is higher. Inside, warmth grows as the fire strengthens. The smell of smoke returns, comforting and familiar. The night has been survived again, not through force, but through patience, shelter, and shared heat. As the flames settle into a gentle burn and the cave fills with quiet light, the last traces of sleep soften and begin to fade, leaving behind calm readiness for the day ahead. Morning stretches slowly, as if careful not to disturb the peace left behind by the night. The fire now burns low but steady, its warmth spreading across the cave floor, easing stiff muscles and cold fingers. One by one, eyes open, adjusting to the pale light filtering in from outside. No one speaks, there is no need. The day begins with listening. Listening to the wind beyond the stone, to the soft crackle of fire, to the gentle hunger waking in the body. A piece of dried meat is taken from a bundle, shared in small bites, meant to last. Chewing is slow, thoughtful, allowing warmth and strength to return. Stone tools are checked quietly. A sharp edge is tested with a careful thumb, then wrapped again in hide. These tools will shape the day, guiding hands through tasks learned over many seasons. Nearby, a child watches, eyes following every movement, learning without words. Outside the cave, breath rises in pale clouds. The frost still holds, but the sun is climbing, unseen yet felt. Light spreads across the plains, touching frozen grass and turning it gold and white. The world looks still, but life moves beneath the cold surface. Inside, hides are folded, places of sleep gently undone. The cave remains patient and silent, ready to welcome them back when night returns. For now, warmth lingers and the calm rhythm of morning settles fully into place. As the fire steadies and the group prepares to step into the cold, the last quiet moments of rest fade slowly, leaving behind a sense of balance between shelter and the open land. The group moves toward the cave entrance at an unhurried pace, each step placed with care. The ground just outside is hard with frost, crunching softly underfoot. Cold air brushes against warm skin, sharp but clean, waking the senses fully. Breath clouds the air, rising and fading like slow-moving spirits. They pause at the edge of shelter, looking out across the open land. The plains stretch wide and quiet, touched by early light. Far off, a line of trees stands dark against the pale sky, their branches stiff with ice. Somewhere near the river, the faint sound of moving water carries through the stillness. A few walk out first, scanning the ground, reading the frozen tracks left behind. Hoof marks tell of animals passing in the night, their paths marked clearly in the hardened soil. These signs are studied with patience, not urgency. There will be time to decide where to walk, where to wait. Those who remain near the cave tend the fire one last time, ensuring it will smolder safely until evening. Ash is spread carefully. Stones are set just right. This place is not abandoned, it is held respected, remembered. As the sun finally lifts above the horizon, its light warms the land just enough to soften the edge of the cold. The group steps forward together, moving slowly into the morning, while behind them the cave rests in quiet readiness, its fire breathing gently in the dim. The walk across the frozen plains is steady and calm, guided by memory and subtle signs in the land. Feet find familiar paths between low grasses and stones, places where the ground is firm and quiet beneath each step. No one hurries. Energy is saved for when it will be needed most. The sun climbs higher, but its warmth is gentle, barely melting the frost that clings to leaves and soil. Light glints off ice, creating brief flashes that fade as quickly as they appear. The air smells clean and sharp, filled with the scent of cold earth and distant water. As they move, eyes remain low, searching the ground for clues. Broken grass, shallow depressions, the faint curve of a track. Each sign is read carefully, as if the land itself is speaking in a slow, patient voice. A quiet gesture signals a change in direction, and the group adjusts without sound. Occasionally, they stop, standing still, listening. The wind carries distant movement, but nothing close. This waiting is as important as walking. It allows the body to rest, the mind to remain clear. Hunger stays soft and manageable, kept in balance by routine and trust in the day. When they pause near a cluster of stones warmed slightly by the sun, they rest there briefly, letting warmth seep into feet and legs. The plains remain wide and calm around them, and above, the sky stretches pale and endless. After a time, they rise again, continuing onward at the same slow rhythm, leaving only faint marks behind as the morning carries them gently forward. The land begins to change as they move farther from the cave. Low plains give way to gentle rises where the ground lifts slightly and the wind feels stronger. Here, frost lingers longer in shadow, and patches of earth remain hard and cold beneath thin soil. They slow again, spreading out just enough to see more without breaking their shared rhythm. From this higher ground, the world opens wide. In the distance, dark shapes move slowly, animals grazing, their backs rising and falling as they feed. The sight brings no sudden excitement, only focus, steady and calm. A hand lifts briefly, signaling a stop. Everyone stills. Even breath grows quieter. They wait, letting the animals move as they will, watching patterns form, where they walk, where they pause, how they turn their heads toward the wind. Nearby, a shallow hollow in the land offers shelter from the cold breeze. The group eases into it, lowering themselves to the ground. Stone and bone tools are set down carefully, never dropped. Every sound matters here. Time stretches. Minutes pass without movement. The sun inches higher, warming the tops of stones, while shadows remain cool. Waiting is not emptiness, it is preparation, a way of becoming part of the land rather than standing against it. As the animals drift slowly across the plain, the group remains still, patient and quiet. The moment is not yet ready, and that is understood without thought. Calm settles again, deep and steady, as they continue to wait beneath the pale sky. The waiting continues, unbroken and peaceful. Knees rest against cold earth, and hands curl around smooth stones warmed slightly by the sun. The wind moves overhead, brushing past without finding them in the hollow. Here the cold feels gentler, held at a distance by patience and stillness. Eyes remain fixed on the distant animals, not staring, but watching softly, the way one watches a slow-moving cloud. Each shift of a hoof, each tilt of a head is noted, remembered. These small details will guide decisions later, but for now there is no need to act. A bird crosses the sky, wings beating slowly, then disappears beyond the rise of land, its shadow glides across the ground and fades. The world feels wide and quiet, as if everything has agreed to move at the same unhurried pace. Breathing stays slow. Muscles remain relaxed, ready, but not tense. The body has learned that stillness saves warmth and strength. Hunger stays distant, quieted by focus and routine. As time passes, frost begins to soften under the sun. The ground loses some of its hardness, becoming slightly more forgiving beneath hands and knees. The animals drift farther away, their shapes growing smaller against the open land. No disappointment follows. There will be other chances, other paths. The group remains calm, grounded in the knowledge that survival is made of many small, patient moments like this one. When they finally rise, it is with care, joints moving slowly, bodies warming again through gentle motion. The waiting ends softly, without urgency, and the day continues in quiet balance. They move on from the hollow with the same calm they carried into it. Feet find the softened ground more easily now, leaving shallow prints that the sun will soon erase. The air feels a little less sharp, the cold loosening its grip as light spreads wider across the land. The path bends toward a line of trees near the river. From here, the scent of water becomes clearer, cool, mineral, steady. Reeds along the bank whisper as the breeze passes through them, a soft, rhythmic sound that blends with the slow flow beneath a thin skin of ice. They stop near the edge, careful not to break the quiet. One kneels, touching the ground, reading where animals came to drink before the night froze the surface. The tracks are older, but still useful, telling a story of direction and habit. A small fire is not needed here. Movement alone brings warmth now. Shoulders loosen as walking continues, and the body settles into a comfortable rhythm. Step, breath, step, matching the steady flow of the river. They rest briefly beneath the trees, backs against rough bark warmed by the sun. Above, branches sway gently, their shadows drifting across the ground. The world feels balanced here, neither rushing nor waiting, simply moving forward as it always has. After a short while, they rise again, leaving the river behind for now. The trees thin, the land opens once more, and the quiet journey continues beneath a sky that feels wide and calm. As footsteps fade into the distance, and the river's whisper softens behind them, the day carries on gently, unforced and steady. The sun reaches its highest point slowly, without urgency, resting above the open land like a watchful eye. Warmth spreads lightly across backs and shoulders, easing the last stiffness left by the night. The cold remains near the ground, but it no longer bites as sharply as before. They pause again near a cluster of stones, their surfaces smooth from years of wind and rain. These stones hold heat well, and sitting beside them brings quiet comfort. Food is shared once more, small portions, eaten mindfully, meant to last the long day. The land around them feels open and safe. Far off, clouds drift lazily, thin and pale. The sound of wind moves across the plains, steady and low, carrying no threat. This is a good time for walking, for watching, for remembering paths learned long ago. One person traces a line in the dirt with a stick, marking where they will go next, where shelter waits if the weather turns. Others watch, memorizing the shape of the land, the position of hills and trees. Knowledge is passed this way, quietly, without words. When they stand again, muscles feel ready, warmed by sun and movement. The stones remain behind, still holding their borrowed heat. Ahead, the plains stretch onward, familiar and calm. They walk on at an easy pace, shadows moving slowly beside them. The day feels long but gentle, and the rhythm of survival continues, unbroken and steady beneath the wide sky. As the sun begins its slow descent, The light softens, losing its sharp edge. The plains take on warmer tones and long shadows stretch across the ground, moving quietly with each step. Walking becomes easier now, guided by familiarity rather than effort. They angle their path toward higher ground where the wind is cleaner and the view wider. From here, the land reveals itself in layers, gentle rises, shallow dips, the distant line of trees where shelter waits if night comes early. The air carries the promise of evening, cool but calm. A pause comes naturally. They stop without signal, standing together, listening. The world answers with silence, broken only by wind and the faint call of a bird settling in for rest. It is enough. The day has offered what it will. Turning back toward the cave feels unspoken but agreed upon. The walk home is slower, eased by the knowledge of warmth ahead. Feet follow earlier tracks now softened further by the sun. Each step presses lightly into the earth, leaving marks that will fade by morning. As they near the shelter, the stone walls rise gently from the land, familiar and reassuring. Smoke from earlier embers drifts faintly in the air, barely visible. The cave waits, patient and unchanged, ready to gather them once more. With the sky deepening toward evening and the last light settling low, they step inside, leaving the open land behind. The fire is stirred, warmth returns, and the long day settles into rest as the night prepares to arrive again. Inside the cave, the shift from open land to shelter feels immediate and calming. The air is still, protected from the cooling wind outside. Ashes from the morning fire are pale and soft, and beneath them warmth waits. A careful hand uncovers the embers, feeding them gently until a low flame returns. Light dances across the stone walls, bringing familiar shapes back into view. The cave breathes with them, holding heat, sound, and scent in a way the open plains never can. Hides are laid out again, smoothed and arranged where bodies will soon rest. Outside, the sun slips lower, its light turning gold, then fading into muted blue. The temperature drops quickly now. Cold gathers along the ground and creeps toward the entrance, but it cannot cross the circle of firelight. A simple meal is prepared, nothing rushed, nothing wasted. Hands work, slowly, sharing warmth as much as food. Hunger eases, replaced by quiet satisfaction and the deep comfort of routine. As darkness thickens beyond the cave mouth, the fire grows steadier, fed just enough to last. Tools are placed close at hand. The day's dust is brushed from skin. Muscles relax after long hours of movement and watchfulness. Night settles in once more. The cave glows softly, a small island of warmth in a wide, cold world. Breath slows, the fire crackles gently, and the familiar rhythm of evening returns, unbroken and calm. Darkness deepens outside the cave, thick and complete, wrapping the land in quiet. The stars emerge one by one, though only their cold light touches the stone at the entrance. Inside, the fire becomes the center of everything, its glow steady and low, offering comfort against the returning chill. The group settles close again, bodies forming a small circle of shared warmth. Hides overlap, trapping heat, their worn surfaces telling silent stories of past winters, and long nights survived this same way. The scent of smoke settles into the air, calm and familiar. Someone adds a larger piece of wood to the fire, placing it carefully so it will burn slowly through the night. The flames rise briefly, then calm, as if understanding the need for patience. Shadows stretch and soften along the walls, moving in slow, gentle patterns. Outside, an animal passes somewhere far away, its steps too distant to matter. The sound fades quickly, swallowed by the vast night. Inside, no one reacts. Trust in the shelter remains strong. Eyes grow heavy. Conversations are not needed. The day has been long enough, full without being hurried. One by one, heads lower, bodies curl inward, and breathing deepens. As the fire settles into a warm, quiet burn, and the cave fills with steady, shared sleep, the ancient night holds them again, just as it always has. The fire's voice softens as the night grows older, shifting from gentle crackles to a low, breathing warmth. Embers glow like calm eyes in the dark, steady and watchful. The cave feels sealed from the world outside, a pocket of safety carved from stone and patience. A sleeper stirs, adjusting a hide across their shoulders. The movement is slow, almost part of a dream, and soon stillness returns. Breath rises and falls in a shared rhythm, quiet and reassuring. The body remembers how to rest like this, curled and grounded, conserving heat as instinct has taught for generations. Beyond the cave, frost thickens again on the plains. The river whispers under its skin of ice, moving without being seen. The stars continue their long drift across the sky, marking time no one needs to count. Inside, the warmth holds. Stone walls give back what they have taken during the day, releasing stored heat little by little. Even the floor feels kinder now, warmed by fire and presence. Sleep deepens. Dreams come softly, of walking beneath open skies, of hands shaping stone, of fire always waiting at the end of the day. Nothing presses, nothing pulls. The night is allowed to be long. As the embers dim slightly and the cave settles into complete quiet, rest spreads fully, steady and unbroken, carrying them gently through the frozen hours. Time moves almost unnoticed as the night stretches on. There is no sense of hurry, only the slow passing of warmth and shadow. The fire sinks lower, its embers pressed together, glowing faintly beneath a thin layer of ash. Heat still rises, subtle but enough. A faint draught brushes the cave entrance, carrying the scent of ice and distant snow. In response, bodies shift closer together, sharing warmth without waking. This closeness is familiar, comforting, shaped by countless nights like this one. Somewhere in the dark, beyond the stone walls, a branch cracks under the weight of frost. The sound echoes softly, then fades. Inside, sleep remains undisturbed. The cave holds firm, protecting those within from the restless cold. Breathing slows further, becoming deep and even. Muscles relax completely, releasing the last tension of the day. The world feels reduced to fire, stone, and breath. Nothing more is needed. The night reaches its quietest moment, when even the wind seems to pause. Embers pulse once, then settle again. Darkness wraps gently around the cave, and sleep deepens into a calm, steady stillness that feels timeless and safe. The deepest silence arrives like a soft blanket, settling over everything without sound. The cave feels warmer now, not because the fire has grown, but because bodies and stone have learned each other's heat. Ash rests undisturbed, a pale skin over glowing embers that breathe slowly beneath. A sleeper exhales, long and steady, and the sound seems to anchor the space. Breath after breath follows, uncounted, unhurried. The night outside presses on, heavy with frost, but inside there is only this calm pocket of warmth and rest. Dreams drift gently through the dark, of hands shaping flint by firelight, of slow walks beneath wide skies, of returning again and again to this same shelter. These dreams do not pull the body away from sleep, they deepen it, smoothing the edges of thought. Stone walls release their stored warmth in small, patient gifts. The floor holds the shape of resting bodies, firm and familiar. Nothing moves unless it must. Nothing asks for attention. Somewhere far away, the night continues its quiet work, freezing streams and stilling grass. Inside the cave, time loosens its hold. The fire dims slightly, then steadies, and the soft rhythm of shared sleep carries on, uninterrupted and safe. At some point in the long night, the fire is fed again, not by full waking thought, but by memory and instinct. A small piece of wood is placed among the embers, and it catches slowly, releasing a gentle glow that spreads warmth just a little farther across the cave floor. The movement is minimal, careful not to disturb others. A hand withdraws and stillness returns almost immediately. The cave accepts the warmth, holding it close, spreading it evenly through stone and air. Outside, the cold reaches its peak. Frost thickens on every surface, and the land lies silent beneath the stars. Even the river slows further, its hidden movement softer now. This is the hour when preparation matters most, and it has been done well. Inside, bodies remain curled, conserving heat. Breath remains slow and deep. No one wakes fully. The night is trusted, the shelter proven. As the fire settles into its new balance, shadows soften again along the walls. Darkness feels gentle rather than heavy. Sleep continues unbroken as the longest hours of night pass quietly by. The hours slide past like slow-moving clouds, unseen but felt in the cooling and warming of the air. The fire holds its shape, a low, steady presence, neither bright nor fading. Its warmth reaches outward in soft waves, meeting the stone walls and returning gently to those asleep. A sleeper shifts an arm, fingers brushing the ground where warmth has gathered through the night. The touch brings a subtle comfort, and the hand relaxes again. Hides settle back into place, their weight familiar and reassuring. Outside, the stars tilt imperceptibly, marking a passage no one inside needs to follow. The cold remains strong, but it has found its limit at the cave's edge. Here, breath stays warm, skin stays protected, and rest remains deep. The cave feels almost alive in this moment. Stone holding heat, fire breathing slowly, bodies moving just enough to stay comfortable. Everything works together without effort, shaped by long practice and quiet understanding. As embers glow softly and shadows rest along the walls, the night continues its calm watch. Sleep remains steady and complete, carrying everyone gently through the frozen hours. A subtle change begins to move through the darkness, so slight it is felt more than seen. The air softens just a little, losing the sharpest edge of cold. Outside, the sky starts its slow shift, stars fading one by one as dawn waits beyond the horizon. Inside the cave, the fire has burned down to a quiet glow. Embers lie scattered, their light dim but steady. Heat still rises, gentle and dependable, wrapping around resting bodies like a memory of warmth. Someone exhales deeply, then draws a longer breath in. Sleep loosens its hold but does not release it yet. This moment between night and morning is unhurried, stretched thin and calm. A faint sound reaches the cave, water moving beneath ice, a distant bird stirring in the dark. These sounds pass through without urgency, blending into the soft rhythm of breathing and fire. The cave remains still, holding the last of the night close. Dreams fade slowly, leaving behind quiet awareness. The fire glows on, the stone walls wait, and rest continues as dawn gathers itself outside. The first true signs of morning arrive as a thinning of shadow rather than light. The darkness near the cave's entrance lifts slightly, revealing the rough outline of stone and earth. Cold air drifts inward, fresh and clean, carrying the promise of another day. A hand reaches toward the fire pit, fingers moving through ash to find the last warmth beneath. Embers respond with a soft glow, as if waking themselves. With careful movements, dry grass and a small branch are added, coaxing the fire back to life. Flames rise quietly, not rushing, just enough to push back the cold. Light returns to the cave, gentle and low, touching faces still softened by sleep. Eyes remain closed, but bodies begin to shift, responding to warmth and change. Outside, frost still coats the land, but the cold feels less heavy now. The sky grows lighter by degrees, pale and wide. Morning is patient here, arriving on its own terms. Inside the cave, warmth spreads once more. Breathing deepens, then steadies. The night releases its hold slowly, allowing rest to linger a little longer before the day fully begins. Morning settles into the cave like a quiet guest, bringing light without noise. The fire steadies into a small, living flame, its warmth easing stiff joints and cold fingers. Shadows retreat to the corners of the stone walls, leaving the center calm and clear. One by one, eyes open, adjusting slowly. There is no rush to rise. The body wakes in layers, first breath, then awareness, then gentle movement. A shoulder rolls, a hand presses into the ground, feeling firmness and heat where the fire has worked through the night. Outside, the plains shimmer faintly with frost under a pale sky. The cold remains, but it no longer feels heavy. Breath no longer bites as sharply in the lungs. Somewhere near the river, water shifts beneath thinning ice, whispering softly. Inside, a small portion of food is shared again, taken slowly, enough to quiet hunger, prepare the body for movement. Tools are gathered, checked by feel more than sight. Everything is where it should be. The cave feels warm, safe, familiar. But the day is waiting. Light reaches a little farther inside now, touching the entrance stone. As preparations finish and bodies grow ready, the last traces of sleep drift away gently, like smoke rising and fading into the morning air. They rise slowly, careful not to waste the warmth they have gathered through the night. Hides are folded and set aside, their edges warmed and softened by smoke. Ash is smoothed across the fire pit, stones adjusted so the flame will rest safely until evening. The cave remembers these motions. They have been repeated so many times they feel like part of the stone itself. At the entrance, they pause again, letting their eyes adjust to the pale morning. The cold waits just beyond the threshold, clean and sharp, but no longer surprising. Breath drifts outward in quiet clouds, then thins as lungs grow used to the air. A hand brushes the rock beside the opening, feeling its chill, its steadiness. Outside, the land is calm. Frost glitters on grass and low shrubs, turning the plains into a field of quiet light. Tracks from the night remain pressed into the ground, clear and readable. These marks are studied without hurry, memorized for later paths and choices. They step out together, spreading just enough to move comfortably. The sun is still low, its warmth gentle, touching faces and hands as if in greeting. Movement returns to the body, easy, familiar step, following step in a slow, patient rhythm. Behind them, the cave settles into shadow again, holding its warmth for their return. Ahead, the open land waits, wide and untroubled. The morning unfolds softly as they walk, and the day begins without urgency, carried forward by steady breath and quiet purpose. The path they follow bends gently with the land, never straight for long. Low rises and shallow dips guide their steps, offering shelter from the wind and clear views across the plains. Walking warms the body gradually, a steady heat built from movement rather than fire. They pause near a stand of dry grass where the frost has already begun to melt. Kneeling, they examine the ground closely. The earth here is softer, marked with older tracks pressed deep and wide. These signs speak quietly of animals passing through in the early hours, moving toward water and shelter. The information is gathered calmly, stored without excitement. A short rest follows, backs leaning against sun-warmed stones. The warmth seeps through hides and skin, easing the muscles of the legs and lower back. Eyes close briefly, not in sleep, but in listening, to wind, to distant movement, to the steady presence of the land itself. When they rise again, the sun has climbed a little higher. Shadows shorten. The cold retreats another step, though it never fully leaves. The world feels balanced now, neither night nor full day, but a calm space between. They move on at the same unhurried pace, leaving the resting place as they found it. Footsteps soften as the ground warms and the plains stretch onward, open and quiet. The rhythm of walking continues, breath and step matching naturally, carrying them forward into the slow unfolding of the day. As the wind fades and the sound of movement settles into silence again, calm returns fully, and the journey continues without strain. The land opens wider as they walk, the horizon stretching in a soft curve beneath the pale sky. The air feels cleaner here, touched by light and distance. Each step lands quietly, guided by habit, the soles of feet learning the ground's language through pressure and balance. They come upon a shallow depression where the sun has pooled warmth. The frost has already loosened its hold, leaving the earth dark and damp. Kneeling, they rest their hands there, drawing heat up through palms and wrists. The pause is brief, but renewing, a simple exchange between body and land. A gentle breeze passes, lifting the dry grass, so it whispers and settles again. No sudden sounds follow. The world feels calm, untroubled, as if it is breathing alongside them. Hunger remains distant, manageable, softened by routine and trust in what the day will bring. They resume walking, spacing themselves naturally, never far apart. The sun slides higher, warming faces and shoulders. Shadows grow lighter, thinner, and the cold withdraws further into shaded places. Time stretches without pressure. There is nothing to chase, nothing to outrun. Only the steady movement forward, guided by memory and quiet observation. The land offers itself patiently, and they move through it with the same patience in return. As footsteps continue and the wind grows still once more, the calm of the moment settles deep, carrying them onward in gentle silence. By midday, the warmth of the sun has softened the land just enough to make walking easier. The ground yields slightly beneath each step, no longer brittle with frost. Breath moves smoothly now, no longer clouding as thickly in the air. The body settles into this gentle balance between effort and ease. They slow near a low ridge, where the wind slips upward and carries distant scents, water, animals, old grass. Standing there, they listen. The world answers in quiet layers, a faint rustle far off, the steady hush of air moving across open ground, the distant call of a bird circling unseen. A decision is made without words. They turn slightly, adjusting their path, following what the land suggests rather than forcing a direction. This way of moving has kept them alive through many seasons, listening first, stepping second. They rest again, sitting close together, backs warmed by the sun, eyes half closed, not to sleep, but to rest the mind. The warmth seeps inward, loosening muscles, calming thought. Time drifts by unnoticed, wide and generous. When they rise, the movement is slow and comfortable. No stiffness remains. The land feels familiar underfoot, welcoming rather than challenging. They continue on, leaving the ridge behind, their footprints shallow and temporary. As the breeze fades and the quiet returns, the day stretches gently ahead, unhurried and calm, carrying them forward in steady rhythm toward whatever comes next. The afternoon light begins to mellow, losing its brightness and settling into softer tones. The sun no longer presses down from above, but drifts slowly toward the edge of the sky, stretching shadows across the plains. Walking now feels effortless, guided by the long rhythm of the day. They move toward familiar ground, places remembered by the shape of stones and the curve of distant hills. These landmarks require no thought. The body recognizes them the way it recognizes warmth or hunger. Each step follows the last without question. A brief pause comes near a cluster of low bushes, their leaves dry and still. The group rests there, letting the warmth of the day linger on their backs. Hands trace patterns in the dirt, feeling its softness, its readiness to hold footprints and then release them again. The air cools just slightly, a reminder that evening will return, as it always does. There is comfort in this certainty. Night will come, and with it, fire and shelter. Nothing needs to be rushed. They rise once more, moving on with quiet confidence. The land remains open and calm, offering no resistance. As the light continues to soften and the day begins its slow closing, footsteps fade into the steady hush of the plains, and a deep sense of ease settles in. The sun slips lower, painting the land in long bands of light and shadow. The warmth it leaves behind lingers on stone and soil, slowly releasing itself as the air cools. Walking now feels different, quieter, more inward, as if the body is already preparing for rest. They follow a gentle slope downward toward the place where shelter waits. The path is familiar, traced many times by careful feet. Dry grass brushes against legs, making a soft sound that blends with the wind. Each step is placed with ease, guided by memory rather than sight. A pause comes at the edge of a small rise. From here, the land opens one last time, wide and calm beneath the evening sky. The colors deepen, gold fading into blue, shadows stretching farther with each passing moment. The group stands together, breathing slowly, taking in the stillness. The air cools another degree. Shoulders draw slightly inward, conserving warmth. Movement resumes, unhurried, steady. The cave's dark opening begins to take shape ahead, a quiet promise against the growing dusk. As they near it, the sounds of the open land soften and fall away. The wind loses its voice, footsteps slow, then quiet. Evening gathers gently around them, and the rhythm of the day eases into the calm certainty of night approaching. The cave greets them with familiar shadow and cool stone, a steady presence shaped by many returns. Inside, the air is still, holding a memory of warmth from the night before. Ash lies undisturbed where the fire once burned, pale and soft, waiting to be stirred back into life. A bundle of dry wood is set carefully in place. With slow, practiced movements, embers are uncovered and fed. The fire answers quietly, a small flame rising and settling into a calm, steady glow. Light spreads across the walls again, tracing old marks in the stone, bringing the space gently awake. Outside, the last light of day fades from the sky. Blue deepens into grey, then into a softer dark. The temperature drops, but inside the cave, warmth begins to gather once more. Hides are laid out, familiar and comforting, ready to hold heat through the long night ahead. Food is shared in silence, eaten slowly. The body receives it without urgency, grateful and calm. Muscles loosen as the fire does its work, easing the day's walking from legs and back. As darkness settles fully beyond the cave mouth, the world narrows again to fire, stone, and breath. The flames steady, shadows soften, and the long rhythm of evening returns, carrying everyone gently toward rest. The fire settles into an even burn, its light low and comforting. Sparks rise once, then disappear into the dark ceiling of the cave. The stone walls seem closer now, not pressing in, but gathering the warmth and holding it carefully, like cupped hands around a fragile glow. Outside, night has fully claimed the land. The wind moves softly across the plains, carrying the faint scent of cold grass and distant water. None of it reaches far into the cave. Here the air is calm, touched by smoke and earth, steady and known. The group draws closer together again, forming a loose circle around the fire. Hides overlap, edges tucked in, trapping warmth. A shoulder leans gently against another, not for comfort alone, but for balance, for shared heat, for the quiet reassurance of presence. Tools are placed within reach, their shapes familiar in the firelight. They catch the glow along their edges, stone, bone, and wood, shaped by many patient hours. Nothing more is needed tonight. Breathing slows. The body begins to release the last of the day's movement. Legs stretch, then curl, hands relax, palms open, resting against warm ground and soft hide. The fire crackles softly, then grows quieter, settling into embers. Shadows stop moving and rest along the walls. The night deepens outside, while inside the cave, calm thickens and sleep begins to arrive, slow and gentle. Sleep gathers slowly, like mist drifting in from the plains and settling gently inside the cave. The fire has lowered itself to a warm, breathing glow, its embers close together, steady and patient. Their light barely reaches the far stone, leaving most of the cave wrapped in soft darkness. A body shifts slightly, finding a place where warmth feels just right. Hides rise and fall with each breath, their weight comforting, familiar. The ground beneath holds the day's memory of heat, offering it back in small, quiet gifts through the night. Outside, the cold strengthens again, spreading frost across grass and stone. The stars stand clear and bright above the land, silent and distant. Inside, none of this feels threatening. The cave has learned how to hold the night at bay. Dreams begin to move through the darkness. Slow images of walking paths, of firelight on stone, of returning safely again and again. These dreams do not stir the body. They deepen the rest, smoothing thought until it becomes as quiet as the cave itself. The fire makes a single, gentle sound as an ember settles. Then everything grows still once more. Breath remains slow. Muscles soften fully. The night stretches wide and calm, and sleep holds everyone securely within its steady rhythm. The night moves forward without marking its passage. There is no sense of hours here, only the gradual deepening of rest. The fire's warmth remains present, a low, constant companion, rising gently from embers hidden beneath a fine layer of ash. A sleeper's breath changes rhythm, slowing further, settling into a deep, even pattern. The sound is soft, almost part of the cave itself. Nearby, another body curls closer, instinct guiding the movement, bringing shared warmth without waking. The stone walls feel ancient and steady, unchanged by the cold pressing against them from outside. They have held many nights like this one, nights of frost, nights of silence, nights where survival rested on patience and shelter rather than struggle. Outside, the plains lie frozen and still. No wind stirs, no animals pass close. The world seems paused, waiting for dawn to return its motion. Inside, warmth and breath continue, uninterrupted. The fire dims slightly, then steadies again, finding its balance. Shadows no longer move. Darkness becomes soft rather than deep. Sleep settles fully into the cave, calm and complete, carrying the night forward without effort. A quiet calm fills the cave, deeper than before, as if the night itself has settled in to rest alongside them. The fire has become mostly embers now, glowing faintly, their warmth spreading slowly and evenly through the stone floor. The air is still, undisturbed, holding the soft scent of smoke and earth. Breathing moves in a shared rhythm, slow and unbroken. Each rise and fall of the chest feels steady and safe, guided by instinct older than memory. The body rests fully here, trusting the shelter, trusting the fire, trusting the long pattern of nights survived this way. Outside, frost thickens once more as the cold reaches its quiet peak. Grass stiffens, water stills beneath ice. The land waits, patient and silent beneath the stars. None of it presses inward. The cave stands firm, holding its small circle of warmth against the vast cold. An ember shifts slightly, releasing a brief, dim glow, then settles again. No one stirs. Sleep remains deep, heavy in the best way, wrapping thought and movement in softness. Time loosens its hold completely now. There is no before or after, only this moment of warmth, breath, and stone. The night carries on gently, and rest remains unbroken as everything drifts together in calm stillness. The night begins its slow turn toward morning, though nothing inside the cave changes at once. Darkness remains thick and kind, resting against stone and hide. The embers glow faintly, their warmth steady, like a quiet heartbeat beneath ash. A sleeper shifts, pressing a cheek against a folded hide warmed by many hours of shared heat. The movement is small, guided by comfort rather than waking. Breath deepens again, long and even, carrying the body further into rest. Outside, the stars continue their patient drift, marking a passage no one needs to follow. The cold holds the land firmly, yet it feels distant here, stopped by stone and fire and careful preparation. Even the wind seems to move around the cave, not through it. Inside, the floor retains warmth, offering it back slowly. Fingers relax, palms open against the ground. Muscles let go completely, releasing the last traces of effort from the day before. Nothing is required now. Nothing needs watching. The embers dim and brighten in a slow cycle, answering the quiet breath of the cave. Sleep remains deep and calm, unbroken by sound or thought, as the ancient night carries them gently toward the edge of dawn. A subtle easing moves through the darkness, almost too soft to notice. The cold outside loosens its tightest grip, just slightly, as if the night has begun to exhale. Inside the cave, nothing stirs at first. The embers continue their low glow, steady and calm, holding warmth close to the ground. Breath moves slowly, evenly, a shared rhythm that fills the space without sound. Hides lie heavy and still, their warmth settled deep. The stone walls feel patient, unchanged, releasing small traces of stored heat back into the air. The cave remains a quiet pocket of balance between fire and frost. Somewhere far beyond the stone, a bird shifts on a branch, testing the dark. The sound does not reach inside. Here, sleep stays deep and secure, layered and complete. Dreams soften and thin, becoming gentle impressions rather than images. An ember breaks apart silently, spreading its glow just a little wider before settling again. The light barely moves the shadows. Everything feels held, suspended in a long moment of rest that asks nothing and offers everything. As the night continues its slow turn and the cave remains wrapped in calm, sleep lingers without effort, carrying warmth and stillness forward into the quiet hours that remain. The dark begins to thin at the very edges of the world, though inside the cave it still feels complete and gentle. The embers glow faintly like distant stars resting on the earth. Their warmth remains quiet and dependable, rising slowly through ash and stone. A long breath leaves one sleeper's chest, then another follows. The sound is soft, steady, almost part of the cave itself. Bodies remain curled inward, conserving heat, trusting the shelter that has held them through the coldest hours. Outside, the sky is changing in ways no one can see yet. Stars fade one by one, and the cold eases just enough to be felt by the land. Grass loosens. Ice prepares to release its grip. These changes move slowly, patiently, the way they always have. Inside, a hand rests against the ground, fingers relaxed, feeling the faint warmth that lingers there. Muscles stay loose. Thought remains distant. Sleep is deep but peaceful, not heavy, allowing the body to remain ready without waking. The fire gives no sound now, only warmth. Shadows rest completely still along the walls. Time feels wide and open, unmeasured and kind, as the last stretch of night passes quietly, carrying rest gently toward morning. The first true breath of dawn reaches the cave at last, cool but softer than before. The darkness near the entrance lightens, revealing the familiar curve of stone and the quiet shape of the fire pit. Embers glow faintly, waiting, patient and calm. A sleeper shifts slightly, not yet waking but sensing change. Breath deepens, then steadies. The night has done its work. Bodies are warm, rested and whole. The freezing hours have passed, held back by fire, stone and closeness. Outside, the land prepares to wake. Frost still lies across the plains, but it no longer feels sharp. The sky grows pale, wide and gentle, promising another slow day beneath ancient light. Inside the cave, warmth remains gathered, a shared memory held in hide and earth. The fire will be stirred soon, the day will come. But for this moment, everything rests in perfect balance, safe, quiet, enduring. The last shadows soften and settle. The night releases them fully. Sleep fades without urgency, leaving behind calm strength and steady breath, ready once more for the rhythm of ancient life. Thank you for sharing this quiet journey into the ancient past, into a world of firelight, stone shelter, freezing nights, and patient endurance. As the cave warms and dawn rises beyond its walls, you can rest knowing that survival here was built not on haste, but on calm routines, shared warmth, and trust in the slow rhythm of life. If this story helped you relax, drift, or sleep more deeply, you are welcome to like the video, subscribe to return to these fireside moments again, and leave a comment sharing where you listened from and what time the night or morning found you. Now, let the fire dim gently. Let your breathing slow. May your rest be deep and peaceful, as if you too are safe inside a stone shelter, listening to embers breathe beneath ancient stars.